What if I told you a sandwich once summed up an entire era? From Spam fried in wartime kitchens to peanut butter and mayonnaise on soft white bread, these tastes carry forgotten American stories. Today we are unwrapping 25 sandwiches that time, and most menus have left behind. Some will make your stomach grumble, others might make you wince. Let us dig in. Fake chicken sandwich. Meat was a luxury people could scarcely imagine during the Great Depression. Resourceful cooks mixed things like chopped tomatoes, beaten eggs, grated cheese, onions, and herbs to mimic the texture and flavor of chicken. This inventive sandwich was filling and also showed how creativity rose from necessity. Families gathered at the table and shared this plain sandwich along with stories of hardship that later softened into fond memories. Today it stands as a reminder of past generations' ingenuity. Children often believed it was real chicken and only learned the truth years later, which speaks to how convincing the imitation could be. Recipes for mock chicken spread were copied onto handwritten index cards and passed down as a point of pride among frugal cooks. It also turned up at church potlucks and school events where taste mattered more than the cost of ingredients. Mayonnaise and peanut butter sandwich. Unusual to most people now, a mayonnaise and peanut butter sandwich became common in the southern United States in the early 1930s. The sweet, nutty peanut butter was offset by creamy, tangy mayonnaise to create a distinctive flavor. The peanut butter and mayonnaise sandwich came to symbolize thrift and inventiveness during hard times. Families would sometimes add lettuce or banana to boost taste and nutrition. Though it may raise an eyebrow today, for many it evokes pleasant memories of simpler lunches. During the Great Depression, this sandwich supplied essential calories for children heading to school. Its components kept well on the shelf and were inexpensive, making it useful for both rural and urban households. Many adults today remember it as the sandwich you would not trade at lunch, even if you would not admit you liked it. Monte Cristo sandwich. This sandwich is often treated like a decadent dessert. It is a variation on the French croque monsieur. Ham and cheese are layered between slices of bread. The whole sandwich is dipped in an egg batter and then pan-fried until it turns golden brown. Typically finished with powdered sugar and served with jam, creating a pleasing contrast of sweet and savory. The sandwich rose to prominence in America in the mid-20th century, helped by its appearance on the menu at Disneyland's Blue Bayou restaurant. Diners were drawn to its distinctive look and flavor because it offered something a little different. It became an emblem of indulgence in the 1960s, a time when American eateries and theme parks favored theatrical food presentation. The Monte Cristo also spoke to a growing American curiosity about international dishes, though adapted with an American twist. It fit the era's appetite for convenient cooking. Impressive and rich, yet straightforward enough to make at home. Fried Spam sandwich. Spam was launched by Hormel in 1937 and became indispensable during wartime because it kept well and was inexpensive. It was so widespread among soldiers that returning service members brought it back into civilian diets. A fried Spam sandwich, Spam fried and placed between toasted bread with mustard or mayonnaise, came to symbolize perseverance through difficult times. Spam developed an especially strong following in Hawaii, where it was absorbed into local cuisine and inspired items such as Spam musubi. Today, for some people it feels like a relic of the past, while for others it remains a comforting dish tied to warm family breakfasts and wartime memories. Spam earned the nickname the meat that won the war because of its role feeding Allied troops. In the years after the war, it was prominently featured in inventive recipes in women's magazines and church cookbooks. Many veterans kept eating Spam because it reminded them of survival and camaraderie. Sloppy Joe. The origins of Sloppy Joe are disputed, with some tracing it to a Havana bar and others crediting a cook named Joe near Sioux City, Iowa in the 1930s. Wherever it began, this saucy mix of ground beef, onions, tomato sauce, and spices quickly became a family favorite. Its low cost and convenience made it especially useful in hard economic times. Children in particular loved its tangy flavor and often insisted on it for school lunches. Variations followed soon after, ranging from vegetarian takes to versions using different meats, showing how adaptable and enduring the sandwich proved to be. By the 1950s, canned Sloppy Joe mixes like Manwich introduced the dish to mainstream America. In many homes, Tuesday nights turned into Sloppy Joe night, a custom that endured for decades. The sandwich grew into a pop culture touchstone, appearing in sitcoms and on school cafeteria menus. Marmite and cheese sandwich. Having its roots in the United Kingdom, the Marmite and cheese sandwich blends the creaminess of cheese with Marmite's salty umami kick. Often served on wholemeal bread, it is a long-standing favorite in British homes. Marmite is a yeast extract with a flavor so polarizing that people tend to either love it or hate it. The sandwich was common in school lunchboxes and made a frequent appearance at tea time for many Brits. It evokes memories of family gatherings and childhood for those who grew up with it. Marmite was rich in B vitamins, which made it particularly valued during wartime rationing. Soldiers carried small pots of it in their kits, often eating it with crackers or bread. The combination of cheese and Marmite became a comforting staple for generations raised in the austerity after the war. Chicken liver sandwich. A popular offering in the 1950s, the chicken liver sandwich was enjoyed in many households. Chicken livers were marinated in garlic, salt, and lemon juice, then cooked until tender. They were sliced and piled on toasted whole wheat bread with mayonnaise, lettuce, and tomato. This robust, full-flavored sandwich was typically served on special occasions or as part of Sunday dinner. Though it has fallen out of fashion, it remains a cherished memory for those who ate it as children. In the post-war boom, organ meats like liver were used widely because they were inexpensive and packed with nutrients, notably iron and vitamins. Mothers often made liver sandwiches for kids to build blood, a phrase that captured the era's focus on strength and endurance. In immigrant neighborhoods, liver preparations also linked families to their old world cooking traditions, marrying heritage with American thrift. Sardines and egg sandwich. The sardines and egg sandwich was a common meal in the early 20th century, especially during periods when fresh meat was scarce. Canned sardines were mixed with mashed, hard-boiled eggs and spread between slices of bread. It provided a reliable source of protein and was simple to prepare. While it may be less fashionable today, it was a crucial source of nutrition when times were hard, and for some, remains a family dinner memory and a symbol of getting through difficult years. This sandwich was particularly significant during World War I and the Great Depression, when tinned fish was among the most affordable protein options. Immigrant households, notably those from Mediterranean and Eastern European backgrounds, used sardines both for economy and as a culinary link to their homelands. Adding egg made the sandwich more acceptable to children and helped stretch limited food supplies further. Deviled ham sandwich. Deviled ham, a seasoned ground ham spread, rose in popularity in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The William Underwood Company began making it in 1868, and it quickly became a pantry mainstay. Combined with mayonnaise, mustard, and spices, it was spread on bread for an easy, flavorful sandwich. Its long shelf life made it practical when refrigeration was not available. The familiar devil logo on the can became an instantly recognizable emblem in American kitchens. It was heavily promoted during the Spanish-American War and again during World War II as part of military rations because it did not spoil easily. In suburban post-war America, deviled ham became a common sight at picnics and in school lunches, often paired with potato chips and thermoses of milk. Its mix of thrift and spice made it a working-class favorite in lunch pails on factory floors and out in the fields. Potted meat sandwich. Prior to widespread refrigeration, potted meat was a method of keeping cooked meat edible by sealing it under a layer of fat. This technique allowed meat to be stored for long stretches. Used in sandwiches, potted meat was spread on buttered bread, yielding a portable, hearty meal. It enjoyed great popularity in the early 20th century as a practical way to preserve protein. Though it is less common now, potted meat stands as a reminder of earlier generations' approaches to food security. Recipes were often handed down in families, especially in rural areas where refrigeration was scarce well into the 1940s. Making potted meat was considered good housekeeping, stretching a roast and wasting nothing. Potted meat sandwiches were staples in the lunchboxes of miners, railroad workers, and field hands, giving sustained nourishment that could last long hours without spoiling. Banana and mayonnaise sandwich. A staple in Southern kitchens through the 1950s and 60s, this sandwich may sound surprising today, but it was once much loved. The creamy, tangy mayonnaise paired unexpectedly well with soft, sweet banana slices, especially on pillowy white bread. It was inexpensive, simple to assemble, and oddly satisfying, a favorite for children and adults during hard times. Many Southerners remember grandmothers packing it for lunch or wrapping it for picnics. Some people added peanut butter or bacon, foreshadowing the Elvis-style combinations that later became famous. While many modern taste buds might recoil, those raised on it recall it as comforting food with character. The sandwich reflected post-war America's turn toward convenience foods, when canned and pantry staples often replaced perishables. It became particularly valuable in places with limited grocery access, where fresh vegetables and meat were occasional luxuries. This plain offering also mirrored a broader national culture of frugality and practical cooking that shaped American homemaking for decades. Creamed corn sandwich. If you opened your lunchbox in the 1940s or 50s and found creamed corn between slices of bread, you were likely either delighted or a bit puzzled. The sandwich grew out of a demand for quick vegetarian dishes that relied on inexpensive pantry items. Canned creamed corn, warmed, and sometimes blended with melted cheese or herbs, was spread on buttered bread and frequently grilled or pressed into a makeshift panini. It was an efficient way to stretch a single can of corn into a full meal, notably useful during the post-war rationing era. Parents valued how fast and filling it was, while children liked the sweet, gooey texture. Today it is mostly forgotten, though variations still appear in old church cookbooks or tucked away in a grandmother's recipe tin. Its rise in popularity coincided with the rationing years of World War II, when meatless meals were encouraged by the United States government. Church potlucks and community cookbooks often showcased it as an example of economical, nourishing fare. It also worked well as a soft, easy-to-eat option for young children and older relatives, which helped it appeal across generations. Cucumber sandwich. Subtle and refined, the cucumber sandwich is the lone item here that does not trade on strong flavors or nostalgia. Its appeal lies in delicate simplicity. It began in Victorian England as a standard of afternoon tea and was later taken up in American tea rooms and women's clubs during the early 20th century. Thin, lightly salted cucumber slices were placed between crustless white bread, usually spread with butter or cream cheese. It proved particularly popular in spring and summer when cucumbers were fresh and plentiful. Served alongside tea, lemonade, or small finger desserts, the cucumber sandwich came to signify politeness and social refinement. While it may seem out of step with today's fast food scene, it remains a nostalgic favorite for people who remember bridal showers, garden parties, or slow afternoons on the porch. Early 20th century American etiquette manuals also praised the cucumber sandwich as a polite little bite, especially suitable for entertaining women guests without the risk of mess. Before refrigeration, that coolness was a true luxury in the hot months, particularly in well-to-do Southern households. It appeared regularly at garden clubs, debutante teas, and suffragette meetings, quietly observing America's changing social roles. Tongue sandwich? It might feel intimidating now, but in traditional Jewish delicatessens and old European kitchens, beef tongue was a valued cut. Cooked slowly until it became tender enough to melt on the tongue, it was then thinly sliced and piled onto rye bread, often paired with spicy brown mustard and a pickle on the side. In New York, tongue sandwiches were once as common as pastrami or corned beef. Rich in flavor and surprisingly delicate in texture, they were regarded as both nourishing and indulgent, a treat grandparents recalled saving for special occasions or Sunday outings. As tastes changed and offal fell from favor, tongue sandwiches vanished from many menus but survived in heritage delis. Tongue had been an economical choice in the 19th and early 20th centuries, especially among immigrant families determined to use every part of the animal. During World War II, tongue figured in food conservation efforts and was recommended in pamphlets from the USDA as a sensible meat. Jewish delis, particularly in cities such as New York and Chicago, preserved the tradition well into the 1970s, making the tongue sandwich a cultural touchstone tied to family identity. Cheese Dream Sandwich. This open-faced relative of the grilled cheese rose to prominence during the Great Depression, when luxury ingredients were scarce and every bite had to matter. The cheese dream began simply: a slice of bread topped with American cheese and broiled until the cheese bubbled and turned golden. At times, a tomato slice or a dusting of paprika was added to lift it a bit, but its appeal came from being an affordable, comforting, and straightforward meal. Kids loved the gooey texture and parents liked how simple and inexpensive it was. Often paired with a bowl of soup or a piece of fruit, it sometimes even turned up at breakfast. Over the years, the cheese dream spawned many inventive takes, but the original version still comforts. Economical, straightforward, and made with care. The sandwich even appeared in government pamphlets on nutritious meals for low-income households during the 1930s. Many school lunches during the World War II era included a cheese dream with fruit or soup, seen as both balanced and morale-boosting. It later inspired the open-faced melts and toaster oven lunches that became popular in the 1960s, demonstrating its lasting mark on American home cooking. Scrapple Sandwich. Few dishes capture early American resourcefulness like Scrapple, a creation rooted in necessity and kept alive by tradition. Emerging from Pennsylvania Dutch country, Scrapple is a distinctly American original introduced by German immigrants who shaped the nation's farming culture. Made from leftover pork scraps and cornmeal and American grain, it was formed into a loaf, sliced, and pan-fried until golden and crisp. Placed between white or rye bread with mustard or maple syrup, the Scrapple sandwich became a breakfast staple across the Mid-Atlantic, especially in Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Delaware. For generations, the sound and smell of Scrapple sizzling in a cast-iron skillet defined Saturday mornings. More than a thrifty meal, it embodied a pioneer ethic: waste nothing, season everything. Today, Scrapple sandwiches still appear at roadside diners and farmers markets, offering a taste of American culinary history with each savory, crunchy bite. Chicken and Cranberry Sandwich. This sandwich proves that Thanksgiving flavors do not have to wait for November. With tender roast chicken layered with tart cranberry sauce, often accompanied by a slice of brie or a smear of mayonnaise, it grew popular in the late 20th century as a way to turn leftovers into an elevated lunch. Served on artisan bread or a crusty baguette, it provided a festive, indulgent twist on familiar ingredients. Many people link it to cozy weekend meals, post-holiday downtime, or cafe lunch menus. It's still made in some delis, though you see it less often than its simpler cousin, the turkey sandwich. For anyone who's tasted it, the flavor brings back a sense of warmth, celebration, and togetherness. The appeal of this sandwich is in its balance: savory, creamy, and sweet all at once. It's also a neat example of how families turned holiday abundance into practical, tasty meals. In fact, it often shows up at holiday brunches or wintertime picnics, bringing a little elegance to everyday leftovers. Spam and pineapple sandwich. Born in Spam's heyday and as Hawaii's influence on American food grew, this sandwich paired fried slices of Spam with juicy pineapple rings, sometimes finished with melted cheese or a drizzle of honey. It was sweet, salty, and boldly mid-century in spirit. Variations were served at luau's, backyard cookouts, and even in school cafeterias. It caught the post-war fascination with tropical flavors and convenience cooking. Though it may strike modern eaters as odd, it stands for a period when canned staples and unexpected flavor combinations were celebrated as inventive. And honestly, if you give it a try, it can still be surprisingly tasty. This pairing became a kind of symbol of America's relationship with Hawaii after statehood in 1959. The sandwich frequently appeared in family magazines as a playful twist on weeknight dinners. Some home cooks even broiled it for a caramelized finish, a trick that lent the quirky bite a touch of gourmet flair. Anchovy paste sandwich. Brought into popular awareness by Ian Fleming's James Bond story For Your Eyes Only, the anchovy paste sandwich, specifically the spread known as Gentleman's Relish, was once seen as refined and worldly. The paste combined anchovies mashed with butter, breadcrumbs, olive oil, and pepper, spread on toast and sometimes topped with cucumber slices or parsley. It was intensely salty and umami-rich, suited to robust palates or to pair with a glass of wine. In the 1950s and 1960s, it turned up at cocktail gatherings and in men's clubs, especially among Anglophiles. It never really caught on widely in America, but it left a cultural mark as the grown-up sandwich. Today, it has nearly disappeared, kept mainly in the pantries of food historians and fans of James Bond. Patum Piperium. The original British spread, called Patum Piperium, was sold with an air of aristocracy, becoming a marker of status in mid-century households. Among writers, artists, and thinkers, it turned into a sign of refined taste, both in food and culture. Although its popularity has waned, the anchovy paste sandwich still offers a salty reminder of bygone sophistication and a willingness to experiment at the table. A bacon and peanut butter sandwich. It's hard to think of a more striking pairing of salty and savory than peanut butter with crisp bacon. This sandwich gained popularity in the 1950s and 1960s and was a frequent snack for growing boys with fast metabolisms and hearty appetites. Some people added banana slices in the style of Elvis, others drizzled honey for an extra touch of indulgence. It delivered a hefty dose of protein and tasted like breakfast and dessert at once. Parents applauded its energy-giving qualities while children adored the crunchy, chewy contrast. Though uncommon today, it still turns up in trendy cafes or during late-night bouts of nostalgia in college dorms. There is talk that Elvis Presley did more than enjoy the combination. He helped make it famous, notably with his celebrated Elvis sandwich. Nutritionally, it served as a convenient source of fat and fuel for athletes before the era of commercial energy bars. Its revival on hipster food trucks has reintroduced the odd brilliance of this pairing to adventurous eaters. Pimento cheese sandwich. A Southern classic, this sandwich traces its origins to early 20th century American kitchens. Pimento cheese, a spread of cheddar cheese, mayonnaise, and chopped pimento peppers, was at first viewed as a somewhat upscale treat in the North before becoming an everyday favorite in the South. Served on white bread or crackers, it came to be associated with backyard picnics, church socials, and tailgates. Many people remember it in lunchboxes or alongside sweet tea on hot summer afternoons. Over the years, its homemade appeal turned it into a symbol of Southern hospitality. Even now, the so-called caviar of the South remains popular in diners and delis from Georgia to Kentucky. The spread was once manufactured on a larger scale and sold in glass jars, some of which later became collectible jelly containers. It also became a highlight of the Masters tournament in Augusta, elevating its modest reputation. For many Southerners, it was more than just a sandwich. It marked a rite of passage. Mock ham salad sandwich. Another Depression-era creation, this budget-friendly stand-in for ham salad relied on ground bologna or leftover cold cuts mixed with relish, mayonnaise, and mustard. The mixture was worked until smooth and spread between soft slices of bread. Despite the mock name, it frequently matched or even surpassed the real thing in taste. Families turned to it to stretch meager supplies and to feed large groups at reunions or church gatherings. Its pinkish tone and tangy bite made it particularly popular with children. Though the name did not suggest elegance, the mock ham salad sandwich quietly held its place on the 1940s lunch table. Local butchers often ground unknown cuts into salad mixes for households that could not afford ham but still wanted flavor. It was a common offering at post-funeral receptions and potlucks, where comfort came from familiarity rather than cost. Today, the sandwich survives in retro diners and in recipes handed down through families. Victory Sandwich. The Victory Sandwich celebrated the optimism and thrift of the post-World War II era and the rationing that shaped daily life. Assembled from whatever was available, day-old bread, butter, slices of cold cuts, or pickled vegetables, it both marked the end of scarcity and honored frugality. Some versions included a layer of vegetables from a victory garden, a nod to the homegrown efforts that supported the war. Patriotic cookbooks pushed these sandwiches as part of morale-boosting meals, and parents used them to teach children the value of avoiding waste. Simple in looks, the Victory Sandwich stood as a symbol of resilience, gratitude, and community pride. In many towns, children were encouraged to pack lunches with produce from family gardens and leftover food. Even Franklin D. Roosevelt's wartime food boards issued guidance on how to construct one. Though household ingredients varied, the underlying message remained. Simplicity can be heroic. Olive loaf sandwich. If you grew up in mid-century America, there's a good chance a slice of olive loaf peered back at you from your lunchbox. This cold cut mixed ground pork and beef with green olives for a salty, tangy note that set it apart from ordinary deli meats. Slathered with mustard or mayonnaise and tucked with lettuce, it became a lunchtime mainstay during the 1950s and 1960s. It developed a devoted following, especially among folks who liked a little bite in their sandwich. Olive loaf was also one of the early lunch meats heavily promoted to housewives for its range of flavors and low cost. Although trends for processed meats have waned, olive loaf endures as a nostalgic pick for people who remember school lunches and picnic baskets. The look alone, a pink mosaic flecked with green olive rings, was as unforgettable as the flavor. Advertisements even suggested serving it alongside Jell-O salads and iced tea for the modern woman's noontime meal. Nowadays, it is seldom seen, but a single taste can call up vinyl lunchboxes and linoleum kitchen floors. Fish stick sandwich. The arrival of fish sticks in the 1950s changed quick meals forever. Golden and breaded, freezer-friendly fish sticks were among the first frozen foods to ride the television dinner wave. Sandwiched between bread with ketchup or tartar sauce, the fish stick sandwich became a cafeteria classic. It was quick, simple, and mild enough for picky eaters. Many members of the baby boom remember them as a Friday night dinner, particularly in Catholic households observing no-meat Fridays. While less common now, this sandwich captures a moment when convenience met comfort, and kids were finally willing to eat seafood. Its popularity rose as Gorton's of Gloucester became a household name through television advertising. Mothers appreciated it for being tidy and easy to prepare on busy nights. Some versions added American cheese or pickles, turning it into the seafood take on a classic melt. Which of these sandwiches lived at your family table? Share your memories, or the one recipe you'd bring back in a heartbeat from those good old days. If you like this culinary trip through history, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe to this channel, and share the video with someone who still remembers what a cheese dream is. We have plenty more food nostalgia coming your way. Until next time, stay hungry for America's history.